New Beats Pill colors, paying for Apple Intelligence, OpenAI and Chrome, and Perplexity versus Siri. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Insta360 and their new Insta360 X5 flagship camera. Visit store.insta360.com and use the promo code MacVoices to get a free invisible 114 centimeter selfie stick worth $24.99 with a standard package purchase. Limit first 30 standard package purchases only. Moving on to some hardware. Apple has released two rebooted Beats Pill speakers in new quote-unquote summer-ready colors of blush pink and a navy blue. One is for, I believe one is for Target, if I remember correctly, and the other one is for Walmart. Is that right? Yes, I think so. First of all, I'm not a Beats Pill speaker fan, but that's okay. But I always find it interesting when these things come out and they announce colors. And I guess maybe I'm just too much of a geek that the color really doesn't make that much difference to me if it sounds good. But does the color matter to you guys? And Erica, you're shaking your head vigorously, and I would think you would be the guy that would, with all the flowers and everything.
Well, as soon as you know the color, then you know what outfits you have to purchase. And I got to redo my whole wardrobe, and I really have to get to that. Might be too late.
Eric, I've never seen you in anything other than a black t-shirt.
So I can't buy these then.
Okay.
It doesn't match the outfit. But I mean, there's something to that, right? You come out with a color of some item that's popular, and then you buy all of the surrounding stuff to go with it.
I admit I had not even come close to thinking of that. So thank you for sharing that. Marty?
I think we did a comment on this. It must have been even before Christmas when they had the Kardashian color that came out. And the Kardashian color, what would you think a Kardashian color would be? Well, it was light gray. And I don't get that. Maybe Eric can explain that because he seems to have that connection. But ironically, my daughter wanted a Bluetooth speaker for Christmas, and I went on and searched, and sure enough, the Kardashian color was about $20 cheaper than any other thing. It didn't apparently sell well. So I don't get the color thing either.
Neutral colors go with anything.
Like Kim Kardashian, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other part of this one is, I have to wonder if there's some part not under the table, sorry, just unannounced partnership, because Target obviously wanted a Beats speaker that was exclusive to them, at least for now. Who knows how long that'll last? Walmart wanted one that was exclusive to them. So Apple did that. So who is paying for what? Because I just can't believe that Apple would say we're only going to make this one here or that one there without some kind of arrangement. So I think that's another interesting aspect to this. And I'm sure that Amazon will be filing suit any second because they aren't able to sell the navy or the pink. They're probably calling Elizabeth Warren as we speak. Dave, I know you. Can you reach over and pull a Beats speaker and show it to us in multiple colors?
Oh, no. I'm not a Beats user.
For a second, I thought he had it.
But he has a new T-shirt color. He's got a different T-shirt color tonight.
Yeah, I didn't wear the pink,
or the yellow, or the blue.
Oh, there's a speaker right there at my fingertips. Sonos Move.
Okay. I don't know. Look, they're fine speakers. They're not my thing, but just the way that Apple is handling some of this is really interesting. Let's see what's next. 1 to 2 people surveyed willing to pay at least $10 a month for Apple Intelligence. Now, I think this is really interesting. ChatGPT is $20 a month for their, I guess, their sort of average person mode. You know, would you pay $10 extra for Apple Intelligence?
In some ways, we are already. I would pay. The interesting, if you look at the breakdown of the statistics, 14% are not willing to pay. The rest of the folks, well, there's 6% that's too early to tell. They don't know. But the rest of it are willing to pay $5 per month or more. So that's a lot of people willing to chip in a little cash, whatever the range is, to get on the Apple Intelligence bus. But, we don't know how it's going to evolve, I should say. I think people are thinking about it in terms of security and the safety of their information. And that's why they're willing to pay that extra charge.
Marty, you took my thoughts right out of my head. I really do think that privacy and security is driving a lot of this. There's, in fact, I think we have another article later that gets into this a little bit, but just the idea that it's Apple Intelligence and we don't, the funny thing is we don't even know exactly what Apple Intelligence will eventually do, but people seem to like the things that it's doing so far, at least if you believe this. So, Webb, are you well, I know obviously you're using Apple Intelligence to the extent we can because you're an Apple user. Do you use any of the other large language models?
I play with it. Remember, I have it blocked off in my business world. And we've gone through that before, but so for business reasons, I don't. I've played with it, but I'm still going to go back to, and this will be controversial. I think Siri is a huge disappointment, and that's the entree into at least the LLM side of Apple Intelligence. And I think until they decide that, I think they got to rebrand it, quite honestly. I don't think that the Siri name's going to help it at all. I think it's going to hinder it. But of all people I was listening to this morning, I was listening to Howard Stern, and he was going on and on about how Siri has been just such a disappointment, and especially on the voice side and the voice interpretation side. So I've played with it. I don't see it yet. I'll put it that way. Now, that being said, I've played around some of the Apple Intelligence stuff and what they've done in photos, where you can erase images or parts of images, take people out of pictures, stuff like that. Okay, that's pretty cool, and I've used that a lot and showed that to my wife when here again when we were in Florida in January. She took a sunset and there were some people in the way, and I said, "Hey, just kind of do this," and they went away, and she loved me all over again. It was a wonderful moment. So, but I could be convinced, but I haven't seen anything yet. And and maybe part of what Apple's dealing with has to do with the privacy issues and why they haven't been able to accelerate as quickly as some of the others, whether it's going to be Microsoft Copilot or even the GPT or some of the others. But it's one of the tenets of Apple is their user privacy, and it goes right in conflict with the large language model development. So I don't know, just I don't use it much. I've played with it. There's some things that are kind of interesting. I will admit, what was it 3 weeks ago on this show? And David, you did something in a LLM to build or create a PowerPoint deck.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be huge. So I can see that side of it, but
okay.
I'm not a fan of Siri.
Jim, you said that you're an Apple user and you're not using Apple Intelligence at all so far. That maybe that you know of that's been branded Apple Intelligence, but are you saying you've never edited a photo or anything like that? Oh, you're muted.
Jim, you're muted.
Just trying to help out here. No, I never have.
Okay.
I don't even. Yeah. No,
Now, Chuck, you're muted. Now you killed your camera and everything.
Yeah, too many buttons. I feel like the Genmoji stuff was fun to play with, but that's not really getting anything done. Some of the AI summarization, okay, that seems to be doing okay. And because it's integrated in, it feels a little bit better, a little bit easier to use, as opposed to having to round trip it out to ChatGPT. So I think it's a lot's going to depend on how it evolves and how they promote it. And just in time to share his thoughts on Apple Intelligence, Mr. Jeff Gamet has arrived. Jeff, good to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And I think I can sum up my thoughts very succinctly. Underpants.
We did that for you already. You're too late.
Let's see, about 45 minutes late, but okay, thank you.
Well, yeah, fashionably late.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. I am happy to wade in on a topic that I'm completely unprepared for.
Well, what Jeff, to just bring you up to speed, we're talking about an article, and I'll rethrow it into the chat room so you can see it. But this is the one where they did the survey of people willing to pay or not pay for Apple Intelligence. It didn't take. Sorry. Try it again. And we were just going around the room and seeing, what our respective discussions. I can't talk. So for some reason, cut and paste is not working for me all of a sudden. I don't know why. But anyway, that's the gist of it. So would you pay for Apple Intelligence?
Okay. I would not pay for Apple Intelligence.
Thank you. Good.
Yeah, there you go. I tell you what, if Apple wants me to pay for it, they need to make a product that's actually worth paying for. And currently, what we're getting for free is not worth the price we're paying. I feel like Apple, while I respect that they are working to protect our privacy, I like that a lot. They have fallen woefully behind in voice automation and rolling AI into that as well. And for example, I'm now hearing people say, why don't I just use the new Perplexity app, because it can hook into all the Apple APIs, and I can get something that's way better than what Siri's offering me for all of the general voice interaction stuff that I want. And I can't blame them. I feel like Apple has really been left in the dust right now. So nope, I would not pay. They would have to do a lot before I'd be willing to pay for an Apple Intelligence product.
All right. So Jeff, before I go, Marty, I want to make sure I got your comment in about the Vision Pro.
Yeah, this is something Eric and I both found this report on Reddit, and we posted it last night on the show and talked about it. Siri seems to be working remarkably well in terms of voice commands with Vision Pro. And it creates a different experience on the headset because you're not necessarily looking, tapping, and doing icons. You can use voice commands pretty well with it to do some simple things. Now, it's not coming up with complex queries and results for complex queries yet, but it has added a extra layer into how to do things on your Vision Pro headset. So
Jeff took us partway there because the next article I have queued up is the Perplexity voice assistant app story.
Setting it up, and Chuck's knocking it out of the park.
Yep. Well, and actually, Craig too, in the chat room, brought up Perplexity. He said, "Have Apple buy Perplexity and then charge me $10." I played with this for about 10 minutes when I had time. I want to play with it more. Anybody here actually have the Perplexity app and have been using it? Marty, was that a hand?
Yeah, I have it. And there was a point about a year ago where you could get an annual subscription at a deep discount. It was being sent around on some social media. And so I went ahead and got it at a deep discount. I haven't used it as much as I should. I need to pull the app down into my menu bar so I see it more often to play with it. But this new article has kind of gotten me reinterested in looking at it as an assistant. I don't know if I'll pay as much as the full subscription is after this because I'm using other AIs more prominently, but so far I've got it. And I have a couple of folks on the old Mac gang who love Perplexity.
Okay. I think ChatGPT also has a voice mode or a conversation mode or something to that effect. I have not tried that yet. But it feels like everybody's moving in this direction. And I just asked Craig in the chat room if he's using the Perplexity and how, obviously, Craig, how are you using it? But I like the idea of it. I still don't know which model to trust. And I'm definitely wary of putting too much personal information into anything. That said, I had an interesting experience this week where I had to complete a project with some software that I was not deadly familiar with. I need to do this. I need to do that. Do Google searches and go, inevitably you have somebody that's made a YouTube video out of it. And it takes 10 minutes to get to the point, to the 2 sentences you're looking for. Put it into ChatGPT and I get answers back. And I'm vetting them by testing them and doing what it told me to do. And it hit it every time. It was perfect. And suddenly I realized just how much of a danger this could be to Google if I can get quality answers, and especially if I can get citations so that I know where they come from. So it sort of had me rethinking my use of ChatGPT. Craig said, really giving it a look, especially in light of what Mac Sparky posted. Okay, I don't know what David posted, so I'll have to go and find that out. Jeff, I know you haven't had time to work with it, but is it something that you would be willing to take a shot at?
I actually have the Perplexity webpage open right now, and it's been sitting open for a week. And I just haven't had a chance to go in and actually start playing with it. So I have every intention of being able to talk intelligently about this, and yet here we are. But I do like that Perplexity will give you all your citations. We had another story pop up in one of the news feeds a few days ago, I believe, where it's the pillow guy. The pillow guy in his court case, he's been representing himself, and he got hammered by the judge because he used, I don't know if it's ChatGPT, but he used a service like that to generate all of his court documents, his arguments, and it was full of complete fabrications because the systems are designed to give you the answer you want, not necessarily the correct answer, and they can't really tell the difference. And so it was a case filing that was filled with completely fictitious case references and anyhow, so that's one of the reasons why I think it's so great that Perplexity is making it easy to see all of your citations. I think that's something that all of their competitors should be doing.
There's a switch on ChatGPT where you can bring out the citations on it. It's a
Excellent.
part of the paid. And the case with My Pillow Guy, that's karma. That's
Yeah. That's karma.
Well, it's just one more time that somebody has to learn the lesson in public to their embarrassment that, okay, these are potentially great tools if you use them right, but if you use them wrong, a chainsaw is terrific for taking down a tree. It's not something that I plan to do home woodworking with. So be careful what you're doing. Craig filled us in. He said that David Sparks did a demo video, so I have to go and look at that. And Marty, knowing David, it might. Well, I don't know. Is it behind a paywall or not? I'm not sure. But anyway, if you're interested, go and check it out. Today's episode of Mac Voices is supported by Insta360 and their new Insta360 X5 flagship camera. Visit store.insta360.com and use the promo code MacVoices to get a free invisible selfie stick worth $24.99 with a standard package purchase. Limit first 30 standard package purchases only. Built to go where other cameras won't, the new Insta360 X5 delivers up to 185 minutes of battery life and features user-replaceable lenses made of ultra-tough optical glass. Drop it? No problem. These lenses can take a hit, and if not, just swap them out yourself with the replacement lens kit. Why don't all action cameras have that feature? And you'll want to keep filming because the X5 captures stunning 8K 360-degree video, even in low light, with stabilization so smooth it looks like a gimbal is doing the work for you. Plus, it's waterproof down to 49 feet without a dive case, and thanks to the new Quick Edit and AI edit tools, your best shots are only a few taps away from being ready to share. Whether you're shooting underwater, off-road, or on the go, the Insta360 X5 is built to keep up and stand out. To grab a free 114cm invisible selfie stick, a $24.99 value, with your Insta360 X5 standard package, go to store.insta360.com and use the promo code MacVoices. That offer's only good for the first 30 purchases, so don't wait. Thanks to Insta360 for supporting MacVoices. Okay, so here's a big surprise to no one. That OpenAI has indicated they would be willing to buy Google's Chrome browser if Google gets broken up or is ordered to divest itself. Okay, Dave, I think you snickered first. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, of course they're going to be open to buying Chrome. Who isn't going to be? But will it happen? I would be very shocked and surprised if this is the fact. But Google has some explaining to do now that they have the lawsuit against them is against them. So I don't know. OpenAI is going gangbusters. Meta's going like gangbusters with AI. I mean, along with having them having ChatGPT as part of a browser. Yeah, I could see it happen. I just don't know. I don't think Google's going to let it go without kicking and screaming.
I agree with that, Dave. I'm with you 100%. I can't help, though, but wonder, based on the experience I just talked about, that all of a sudden I'm looking at search differently. And, because we've had Google and it was so good for so long, and then they've tweaked it and they've played with it, and then they start gaming things with SEO, and I go over to ChatGPT, and I'm getting quality answers.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to be comfortable asking ChatGPT everything I might ask Google. That may be a mistake too, but just go with it. But I feel like my answers have been a lot more concise, and I feel like I've gotten there a lot quicker instead of trying to decide which one of these 15 or 20 links am I going to try first. Instead, I get open this app, go to this menu, go to this selection, adjust this setting, and bang, you've got it. And it worked. Eric, are you using, how are you using any large language model, if you are?
I am avoiding them like the plague.
Okay, well, I picked the wrong panelist to ask that question to.
And I mean, I think it will be of benefit. I'm really looking forward to a time where I can run the entire model locally on my device. And I think there's a couple places where that could be useful, especially if you can take a starter model and then add in some very specific sets of documents so that its answers better fit what you want to use it for. But I don't like the general use model, and I don't like the concept of the conversational model because I think it's too easy to drift into something I don't want to hear.
Okay. Before I forget this, I'll throw this in the show notes as well as in the chats, but the video that was being referenced by David Sparks is open and it's on YouTube. So for maybe future reference, don't go and look now, but Marty, I don't think I need to ask Jim because I know he's told us before that he's not doing anything with it. Well, you said you're using several LLMs.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable feeding the kind of information into them that you are right now?
I do a process that Eric is actually asking for, where I get support documents. Before I ask it to do something, I put support documents in and say, read these documents, and this is what something like I want you to create based on the content that is part of this document. So if I'm creating a workshop, I'm feeding stuff to it to digest and giving it the ingredients to work with, instead of just asking it to go out and search the whole World Wide Web or whatever source they have. Maybe even stealing some of Jeff Gamet's stuff.
Like that would ever happen.
But so I have closed off the world of what I use it for a little bit more, so I can be directed with the kinds of results that I get. So,
okay. Dave, I don't know when you want to talk about it. Maybe we want to save your discussion of your recent experiences for a little later.
Up to you. Happy to share.
Well, go for it now. I mean, because, okay, so folks, the reason I'm asking, I'm going to jump to the last thing that we had on the agenda for the evening. And I'll put this one, we're sort of out of order here, but so what? That this article reports that it seems like most Windows users don't care for Copilot. Now, they cited a tech newsletter called Newcomer that has ChatGPT's users as 400 million weekly, as opposed to only 20 million for Copilot. So their conclusion is that people don't like it. Possibly a valid conclusion, especially given that Copilot is built into the Windows OS. Or excuse me, come to think of it, it's in the Mac OS too, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
So
for Microsoft 365. Yep.
Yeah. So, David, talk a little bit about your experiences with Copilot, and maybe if you have any thoughts on comparing and contrasting.
Well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I've been a ChatGPT user for a while, not too long of a time, since Marty spent my money, and now I'm paying $20 a month for ChatGPT. But in corporations, and including where I work, everybody's in the Microsoft ecosystem. How do you regulate ChatGPT? I mean, Webb, you mentioned earlier in your company that's a complete block. You can't allow anybody to use ChatGPT, and nor can we, because they don't have the control, keeping the granular control of how that information is getting out there, and you don't want to put company secrets out on the web to be searching for something in an AI tool. I can kind of see it because I'm going to have to start doing some things with it for work with Copilot. I also see the fact that I'm finding ChatGPT to be a little more user friendly when it comes to that. But we also got to work on how is ChatGPT going to be integrated into any other applications. They obviously can't do it in a Microsoft 365 product because Microsoft's not going to allow that. How they can get around to it, but the cool thing is, even for folks who don't want to pay for Copilot, they have a pretty amazing web version of it, and they can go in and actually do those searches. When you're in a company, you have a choice between work or web, and of course you go web. And if you start putting in anything that you shouldn't be putting in there, company's going to be scanning for those things and say, "Yep, nope, we can't put that out there because that's proprietary information," or whatever the case may be when it comes to that. But the web-based version, even if you're not paying for it, does a pretty gosh darn good job for the most part for what Copilot does. But I'm still leaning more towards ChatGPT just based on my experience. I probably got to. I'm going to beat the heck out of Copilot even more. I had been starting because I'll be doing some presentations on it soon. But overall, I think I kind of tend to agree with this article only because ChatGPT is just a hot thing right now. OpenAI is just one of the biggest things out there with AI right now. And we kept going back to Apple Intelligence. I mean, we talked about it. Apple dropped the ball with it. Let's be honest. Those are the two big ones in the arena. And then Meta announced something today too that I don't know if we're going to touch that on as well, an AI app that's doing their thing. So I think the audience with AI is going to be endless. I mean, there's so many of them out there now, and they're going to be even more as we can continue on here. So, but Copilot is a worthy product to use, but I'm kind of leaning towards ChatGPT, honestly.
I can't help but ask this. What kind of guardrails, or are there any that you as an administrator can set up inside your company so that if I work for your company, can I come in and ask questions that maybe a terrorist might want to ask?
I don't know if nor would I share that information for what my knowledge is of how it's done, but I know there's very easy ways to set it up. I mean, just like the web mentioned earlier, they blocking the use of ChatGPT. They can also block the traffic, and I don't know what he does in Copilot, and nor do I expect he share that. But there's plenty of search terms and things that are out there, search specific to whatever specific proprietary information is out there when you're using the web, and it's basically saying we can't get results. But I can't really tell you how that's done. But I'm sure there's probably can ask ChatGPT or Copilot that question if you wanted to, but I have not explored that.
Yeah, if you ask Siri, it'll hand it off to ChatGPT.
Yes, that's right. And that's their problem. There lies the problem with Apple. Big dumpster fire with both of those products.
Well, I guess I asked the question because I was curious, but also because if you use Bing, remember Bing, it actually is still out there. But if you use Bing and you turn off safe search, your searches get a whole lot more interesting. Mm-hmm. If you take it from moderate down to none. And so, which is a good thing for most people, but it feels like it's kind of heavy-handed with Bing, that it feels like it's almost all or nothing. So
yeah, I would definitely think that.
Yeah, Marty.
Yeah, I just off of Dave's suggestion, I just opened up ChatGPT and asked it, "What can't you talk to me about?" And so, illegal or dangerous activities like how to commit a crime,
right.
Making explosions, self-harm, and then privacy-sensitive data, personal information searches like doxing and hacking accounts, prohibited content, non-consensual nudity or exploitation, and then misinformation and manipulation like medical misinformation, election interference, those kinds of things, plagiarism and cheating. So apparently there are some guardrails on it.
Right.
To whatever effect. I wanted to comment on my integration of Copilot because I also have Copilot And here's my workflow. I try to use ChatGPT to come up with to generate some ideas or generate some framework of whatever project I'm working on. If I'm doing strategic planning, I'll use it for that. And then I'll get what's in there and realize there's some of this I need to edit or is just not appropriate. So I copy and paste it into an open Word document. And that's when Copilot says, hey, would you like me to rewrite this article? No, I've already done that. So in my workflow, Copilot comes in at a point where I've already done the work on it, and it seems to be more of a nuisance than a help with the process. So
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.